Hey guys, it's Sippy Cup. I've got a new game to show you guys today. It's a pretty awesome space combat type RTS game called Starfarer. I don't know if you follow Cynical Brit, Total Halibut guy, but if you do, you might have already seen this. If you haven't, hopefully you're in for a treat. I personally think this game is pretty sweet, despite being a little rough as far as features are concerned. It's only in alpha right now, and they're currently adding more and more stuff. I think that the next release is supposed to be sometime this month. It's going to add a lot more of the RPG type elements that are going to make it a lot more fun. So currently there's just kind of little scenarios you can do, and I'll show you in just a second. But eventually it's going to be more of a space trader type game where you can fly around the universe, buy and sell goods, do pirating or whatever. You kind of see all that going on in the background, so I apologize for the noise. Anyway, let's just jump into a mission real quick and I'll kind of show you how it plays. So I'm going to just go ahead and do a random battle and we'll get started here. So, here's what you're looking at. You have kind of randomized forces here in your random mission, but you have a flagship which you can control directly, and you have these other forces. And they come in different varieties. There's basically fighters, which can be either interceptors or drones or fighters, bombers, torpedo bombers, heavy fighters, and things like that. You've got frigates, which I think this is an assault gunship. I think this is technically a frigate. You've got carriers. You've got cruisers, which I think this is a cruiser, and then you've got capital ships, and I believe that is battle cruiser, heavy carriers, and battleships. So let's see. I think for starters I'm going to go ahead and deploy. You can see a point value attributed to each of these here. That means that you can only deploy a certain number of points that does not exceed your maximum here, 59. So for starters I'm going to start out with my flagship. I'm going to grab a carrier and a few wings of interceptors. And maybe some, let's see, these are bombers. I don't want bombers just yet. I'll deploy with those later. For now, I just want fighters, and yeah, that should be good. 54 out of 59. I can take one more thing. Maybe I'll take a close support frigate. Okay, so I'm going to deploy with this stuff. Now, you can probably hear my dog walking around in the background. Sorry about that. So the way that this controls is a bit different from standard RTS games. In most RTS games you've probably played, you will click on a unit and then you right-click where you want it to go or right-click to attack. This works a bit differently. It's kind of similar to the way the military system works in Dwarf Fortress, where you kind of have assignments for your troops, in this case your fleet, and then you can issue direct orders in certain cases, but I could probably illustrate best by just playing and showing you. So you have kind of two different kinds of orders. There's an assignment, which when you create an assignment, the artificial intelligence will sort of organize your fleet according to how it thinks it's going to be most effective at carrying out the assignment. So for instance, if I set an assignment by clicking here and I do a capture and then unpause, we'll see what's going to happen. So most of my fleet is set to search and destroy, which is just denoted by this kind of orange arrow. They're just sort of going where they want. However, it has tasked these two units, which are, it looks like, two fast interceptor units here. These Talon class interceptor wings. It's set them to go capture this. Now that kind of makes sense. These are really fast, so they're going to get over there and capture it quickly. Now, while that's going on, what I can do is I can say, I also want to capture here. What I do want to do though is I want to start kind of building up some forces around this center point, since it usually tends to be the most hotly contested. I should also note that whenever you either create an assignment or issue a direct order, which I'll illustrate in a moment, it takes one of your command points. Now you can run out of these, however, if you capture objectives you will get more command points, but it is certainly possible to expend all of your command points and then you're just kind of at the whim of the AI. So what I want to do maybe is set up a rally point for my carrier group here, which should theoretically make my carrier hang out here. So once the interceptors have captured this point, you know, they'll probably return to the carrier and just hang out with them. So now my, what is this, fighters and this other wing of interceptors and this guy here, the drones, are just kind of doing whatever. So I don't know, I guess I can just leave them alone for now. Anyway, so while that's going, I'm going to kind of show you about sort of direct control of my ships. Actually, I'm going to illustrate one more thing real quick. Let's say I want to manually assign a ship to do a certain task, or assignment, sorry. For instance, this frigate right here is just kind of on seek and destroy. It's just doing whatever it wants, but what I can do is I can click on it and I can go direct orders here, and I can press A for assign task, and then I can click on which of my assignments I want it to participate in. So I've currently set 2 assignments. One is rally carrier group and the other is capture nav buoy alpha. So I want it to go participate in this, so if I unpause you should see that it's going to start doing this. And the AI has retasked this fighter wing or interceptor wing to do something else, I guess because it now sees that there's a frigate and an interceptor wing going to capture this, and it thinks that's sufficient. So we'll just let this go. Alright, so now I'm going to jump in here and control my main ship, and I can press tab to close this overlay. So I'll zoom out a little bit here. I can control this ship with WASD. You can see I can steer left and right. It's kind of slow, so it's not going to happen very fast. So let me pause for a second and just kind of point out a few things here. So if you take a look in the lower left, this is pretty much the extent of the interface here. You can see your speed. Engine boost next to speed denotes that you have a little speed boost when your flux is 0. I'll talk about flux a little bit more in a second. You can see a little bit about the class. It's called the ISS Achal. It's a Conquest class, elite battlecruiser. Then you've got a gauge for your flux, which I'll talk about in a second. Your hull, which is basically just your HP. Then you've got weapon groups. In the full version of the game, you're going to be able to customize all your turrets and things, which have different firing arcs in kind of a similar manner to Space Pirates and Zombies, if you've ever played that, or Gratuitous Space Battles for that matter. And you can see some information next to them kind of to the right here. It will show that they're either linked or alternating, meaning that, for instance, there's in Weapon Group 1 there's Mjolnir cannons, which are energy turrets, and then there's hypervelocity drivers, which are basically giant railguns. Since they're linked, they're going to all fire at the press of a spacebar at the same time. So to illustrate, if I unpause here, shoot them all at once. If I had set them to alternating, well, if I could set them to alternating, they would fire one after the other. Now, the other thing you can do is you can press Shift in conjunction with the number key to set certain weapon groups, or all of the weapon groups, to auto-fire. This is really advantageous for certain things. I like to do it for LRMs, which are the long-range missile launchers. Your ship will automatically lock on to other large ships and fire your LRMs in them, so I'm going to press Shift 3. So now my Pylum LRM launchers are set to auto-fire. And then Group 4, you'll see I have heavy burst lasers and a burst PD for point defense laser. I want to set that to auto-fire as well. And actually, you can see the turrets sort of flash when you do that, I think. No? No, I guess not. Yeah, well, there, now you see it. Anyway, so now I have my missiles and my point defenses set to auto-fire. So now I really only need to worry about my torpedoes, which I have sort of a limited supply of. If I switch to 2 here, you can see the ammo counters here. Sorry, it's kind of jumping around. So I only have a limited amount of torpedoes, so I don't really want those auto-firing. I've got limited ammo for the Mjolnir cannon, a hypervelocity driver as well, which you can see if I move it here. But that's quite a lot, and I don't think I'll end up using that much. Anyway, let's get back to the action. So my missiles are auto-firing here. I'm not sure what they've locked onto. So it looks like we're going to have a little battle on our hands. Alright, so here I'm going to try to get some damage on this guy here. The turrets rotate kind of slowly. There is friendly fire too. My interceptors just destroyed that guy. So you can kind of see the fire arcs here. these battle cruisers and battleships tend to be set up for sort of maximum damage along the broadsides. I'm missing. Well, my point defense lasers, which I had set to auto fire, are doing a nice job. Okay, so something... three shields. These are a bunch of bombs coming in here. So, okay, let me pause real quick. I just blocked a bunch of damage with my shields. You press right click to raise shields. You'll notice that I took no damage to my hull, but if you look at flux, you'll see that my flux jumped up to, you know, almost 5,000 there. So flux, what is flux? Flux builds when you fire weapons and when you block damage with your shields. It's kind of a mixed blessing. Maxing out your flux is bad. What will happen if you max out your flux is that it will basically stun your ship. You get overloaded, electricity crackles along your ship, and then you can't perform any actions until your flux vents back down to 0. For certain types of weapons, energy weapons specifically, the higher your flux, the more damage you'll do. So I can imagine with certain ship builds, you kind of want to ride this line where you have your flux maybe kind of in the middle, where you have enough flux to really kind of pump your energy weapon damage, but not so much that having to block a couple hits is going to overload you and make you helpless. So I can actually drain flux faster than waiting for my ship to reload, overload by, if I unpause here, I can press V to vent. Now while I'm venting, I don't think I can shoot, but it goes pretty fast. So let's go back at the tactical view here and see what's going on. So it looks like I've captured these points. No, maybe I haven't. I'm not sure why not, but let's go ahead and set assault orders here and here, and we'll let the fleet just do its own thing. Carrier group is going to stick here, and I'm going to worry about taking the main point with my capital ship here. So, taking a little piddly damage from these things here. Don't worry about that too much. See, my point defense lasers are taking out some of those missiles. So, you know, in these kind of randomized missions, really the object is to just capture and hold these points and try to whittle down the enemy forces. Just like you, they have a finite number of points, reinforcement points to pull from, so they will eventually run out of ships, and they can be routed, so they will, you know, sometimes flee the battle if they think that they're not going to win. So I'm going to slowly make my way up to this point here, and if I just hang out by it, you're going to see this red bar go down. I'm going to start capturing it, and then I will... Oh, here, okay, so now we've got a big ship. Great ships, these guys can damage to him. He had to vent his flux because I was doing too much. I'm going to have to vent my flux too. Did you see how much damage he did to me? I gotta vent now. Oh, and I might get blown up by torpedoes here. That's bad. That's really bad. And I just died. Yeah. Well, that didn't go like I hoped. So I can actually, if I wanted to, transfer command to one of my other ships here. So let's see. If I press X, a little shuttle will fly out of the destroyed ship and fly into this carrier here, which is also taking damage and overloaded. I have a pylon LRM launcher and some pulse lasers. Not a whole lot to work with. Yeah, anyway. I'm not sure I'm going to win this time, but whatever. So, yeah, like you can see, it's pretty sweet. It's got a lot of potential. I'm excited to see what happens. Apparently I can't shoot these missiles down. Ouch. Kind of excited to see what happens with the full version of the game. There's supposed to be another alpha release later this month in February that's going to add some of those RPG elements like I was mentioning before. So I'm really excited to see how that turns out. I'm going to put a link in the video description to the developer's website. They're called Fractal Softworks. So I think it's like $10 to pre-order, and then you can support development and help to make this a really cool game. So hope you've enjoyed my little peek at Starfarer, and maybe you will like to play. Alright, until next time, have a good one.